Hey everyone, just a quick follow up in regards to the battery situation. Now, in the last video I made, the battery was down to 20%, so it goes into battery saver mode after only an hour and 40 minutes of web browsing and sending emails. Not even YouTube, no Netflix, no video editing, no gaming, nothing. And within 2 hours and 1 minute, it had completely died. So I went into the settings, I rechecked everything a few times because there was a few people who said they got over 4 hours. What I've noticed has happened, and I've spoken to both Lenovo and NVIDIA about this and their support, and they both blame each other essentially. But what happens is if you switch out of dedicated GPU mode to either hybrid or integrated, and then you pull the plug out and you restart the machine, sometimes it stays in dedicated GPU mode, even though it tells you by restarting the machine you'll be in your new mode. So I thought maybe that's the situation here. So let me go ahead and double check the settings once I've restarted the machine, make sure that everything's actually done. And I did do that, and the results were different, but there's both good and bad. The good is that on hybrid mode, but I kept Task Manager open to make sure that the dedicated GPU was not kicking in at any time. So I would, and when I watch a YouTube video, for example, it wouldn't kick in at any time. It would literally use the integrated GPU at about 6% of its power. And on doing so, I put a YouTube video to loop on one side of the screen, and on the other side of the screen, I would send emails and do whatever I need to do on websites. The dedicated GPU never kicked in, and I managed to get 5 hours and 4 minutes of battery life, which is respectable, is definitely respectable. I mean, it's again, for anyone switching over from an Apple laptop like I had, I was expecting much worse performance, and it is, less than half, but that's, again, this laptop cost over $2,000 less than my Apple laptop that I returned. So that's okay, that's acceptable. The bad news is, I thought, okay, let me video edit in hybrid mode, because previously I'd been in dedicated GPU mode, albeit I wasn't editing or playing games or anything. And when I edited in with hybrid mode turned on, which meant the dedicated GPU was being used a lot of the time, because without it, editing it's not a pleasant experience. And when I did that, I got 1 hour and 2 minutes before it went from 100 down to 0. Now, I did an export at 80%. And by doing an export of a 9-minute video, it took just over 35% of my battery. And that was it took it about 10, 15 minutes to do that export, but it took over 35% of my battery, which is crazy. So essentially, if you're a video editor, you have to be near a PowerPoint. If you're planning on taking this to any exhibitions, anywhere where you need to edit on the fly, you don't have a PowerPoint, this thing is going to die on you within an hour. And that's the only part of me that made me doubt keeping this laptop, was that one little aspect, because I've been used to not worrying about that at all. I know if my MacBook Pro is on 100%, I can edit a video, I can send it out, and I've got 6-7 hours before I need to worry about reaching a PowerPoint. Whereas with this, I've essentially got an hour. And if I can't get to a PowerPoint within an hour, I'm completely dead. Gaming on battery, I'm sure you know this, but for the few of you out there who haven't tried a gaming laptop before, if you're gaming on the battery, it's next to pointless. Anything beyond the most simple 2D platform games or 2D games, flat games, which aren't going to tax the GPU at all. Just to give you an indication, Forza went from over 80 frames per second to under 10 when switching over to the battery and trying to still use the dedicated GPU and play that game. The only other thing to point out is even the CPU drops by over 50% when you plug this thing out. Again, I purchased this laptop thinking, okay, it's going to replace my MacBook Pro and it's going to save me £2,000. And those are definitely the only two major drawbacks, is that getting under 1 hour of battery life, and also knowing that if I plug out that power cord, it's not like a Mac where I can just be like, oh, okay, I can still edit as I normally would, because I'm still getting my 100% of CPU power. I'm getting less than 50%, and anything strenuous is not going to be doable. Overall, it's not going to affect whether I keep this laptop or not. For me, those slight inconveniences of having to find a power port more often is not worth the extra £2,000, at least not at this stage of my career. Maybe down the line I will have to switch back, but considering I do the majority of my work from home and from a coffee shop, there's never a PowerPoint too far away. So in conclusion, hopefully by the time you get your Legion 5 Pro, because I know it's not available in a lot of the world right now, by the time you get it, these issues and kinks would have been ironed out. But, again, I just wanted to follow up on that previous video where I got over 2 hours. The good news is you can get more with 5 hours if you basically use just the integrated GPU, which means that you'll be doing very, very light tasks. But if you need the dedicated GPU, on the bad side, it's actually worse than I thought, and I got an hour, which is crazy. Otherwise, do check out the original review and the follow-up, because in terms of performance, it is an absolute beast. So there are a lot of activities. Don't let this put you off. Make sure you check it out, and have a good day. Thank you for watching.